Hey, it's me, MLB. Here's part 11 of the Mist Hashira. Enjoy. And I told you I would do them, Muichiro said to you as you followed him into the kitchen area to help wash up. And I told you that I would help also. I was out there eating just as much as you were, you said with a slight huff. You knew he was trying to be polite and take the brunt of the punishment, but you felt bad and wouldn't let him take it like that. We're in this together, remember? You added. He nodded reluctantly. I will wash, he stated. Okay, I'll dry then. I don't mind either of the roles, you said with a shrug, pulling your sleeves up and getting ready. First, Yin, could you please get the book from my pocket? We need to put it somewhere where it won't get wet, Muichiro said. Oh, right. It's leather, isn't it? Okay, well, I can get it and put it on me then. That's no worries, you said, putting your hand out for him to pull it out of his pocket to give it to you. Gently he pulled it from his pants pocket and passed it to you, and you looked down at it curiously. Why is it cold? You asked. Huh? He asked back. Why is it cold? It's cold. Feel it, you said, holding it back up for him to touch, so he placed his hand on it, but instead of agreeing with you, he just tilted his head to the side. It's not cold, he replied with confusion. It is, you said, looking down at it again and wondering why you could feel it, but he couldn't. That's odd, you said quietly, then pulled the book back towards yourself. He remained quietly thinking as he turned away and rolled his sleeves up to keep working, running the water into the sink and checking the temperature with his hand. Perhaps you're still not recovered from the poison, he mused out loud, trying to come up with a reason as to why you were able to feel the cold on the book, yet he hadn't. You hummed, looking down at your free hand and opening it and closing it. It doesn't feel cold to me. I have full movement and feeling again. What about you? Do my hands feel cold to you? You then asked, reaching forwards and placing your hand on his cheek. He turned his head slightly to feel your hand for a little bit and then shook his head. No, they feel warm, he replied. That's what I thought, you replied, your brows furrowing with confusion. Even so, you still need to rest. Go and sit down and I'll wash and dry the dishes myself, he said. No, I told you I would help and I'm going to help, you said stubbornly, placing the book in your own pocket and reaching for a towel to start drying once he had passed you a dish. You made a good team drying those dishes, and before long you'd finished, as well as swept and mopped the floor and tidied up all of the sections you thought were a little messy. Wow, the owner said with surprise when he returned shortly after you'd finished. You've done more than expected. I appreciate that. This kitchen has never looked so clean. Thank you for the food, you said with a bow, and we're sorry that we didn't have the correct amount of money to pay. That was an oversight on our part. I will be back to pay what we owe, Muichiro added on the end, bowing himself and holding his bow towards the owner. Many thanks, the owner replied gratefully, but now it's very late and I wouldn't want you to be travelling onwards at this time of night. There are things out there in the dark that no one should ever have to come face to face with, he shuddered. I have a spare room at my place, if you'll stay there for tonight, and then you may continue on in the morning. I insist. Thank you, that's very kind of you, you said with a smile. Considering that you had been quite ill recently and had slept on the ground the night before, you found the idea of sleeping in an actual bed very inviting. The owner was happy to keep you both overnight and took you to his house out the back of the shop, then upstairs to the spare room. There is only one bed, I do apologise, he said with a sweat-dropped look on his face. It's no problem. We've slept in the same bed before, Muichiro added nonchalantly, and you felt the blood rush to your face. Can you not say that so casually? You screamed internally at him, but he didn't notice the look on your face and thanked the owner again before walking over to the bed. The owner left and you followed suit, taking your sword off and going to hop into the bed, but as you bent your leg to get up, you felt the book there, still in your pocket. Oh, what are we going to do about this? You asked as you pulled it out. I can't sleep with this. It'll keep digging in my hip and leg every time I roll over, and I don't want to damage it. I'll put it in my pocket. I don't want to leave it on the bench or floor. I need to keep it on myself so I can make sure it's safe, Muichiro said to you as you handed it over to him. It still feels cold, you commented as it left your hand and entered his. It does not feel cold to me. You'll feel much better in the morning, Yin, he said as he slipped it into his pocket and lay down. You hesitantly lay down too, curling up a little on top of the sheets just like him. You didn't think sleep would find you as fast as what it did, but before you knew it, you were out like a light, and so was he. As you slept, you dreamed that hideous dream of being swallowed by the demon, and the cold that you felt afterwards. The cold was so strong it was starting to get painful, and you winced in your sleep and shifted a little. Suddenly you became conscious of something next to you in the room, and you startled awake and threw yourself over Muichiro towards your swords. You grabbed for your sword, unsheathed it quickly, and then swung around. "You're perceptive," a gnarled demon voice said to you, its eyes glowing an orange-yellow in the dark of the room. "What are you here for?" you asked it, feeling like it was a stupid question, but asking it anyway. "I'm here to take what's mine and kill those who took it from me," it replied. "Muichiro!" you shouted, realizing that he hadn't gotten up yet, your eyes flicking to him, and although you couldn't see well in the dark, you could make out that his breathing was off, so he definitely wasn't slumbering peacefully. The demon laughed and you scowled at him. "What have you done to him?" you asked darkly. "He has what's mine. I've sent him into my realm," he replied to you. "The book," you whispered, your eyes growing wider when you remembered that he still had the book on him. The demon laughed again when he saw that you'd frozen in place, undecided on what to do. "If you want your boyfriend back, you'd better do something. There's only so much time before his heart ices over and stops beating," it sneered in provocation. You lashed out, throwing your third form yellow and second form orange in quick succession, using them to try and kill the demon, but also as a cover so that you could get closer to him to actually decapitate him, but he was too quick and dodged all your attacks. As you fought him, your mind reeled, wondering what you should do. Why hasn't he gone for the book? Does he have to keep the book on Muichiro to make sure it actually kills him before he can take the book away? What happens if I touch the book? Will I get sucked in as well? Do I have to kill the demon to break the curse? All of your thoughts flicked through your mind in an instant. You took a swing at the demon, and it jumped, disappearing through the ceiling of the room, its eerie laugh leaving the hair on the back of your neck standing on end as you spun around and looked everywhere to see where it was going to come out from next. All of a sudden you got a flashback to Muichiro yelling at you to not move, and you jumped as high as you could, just as this demon came up through the floor beneath you, with its unusually large mouth wide open. "You!" you shouted at it. "This feels familiar," the demon suddenly said, ducking to the left to avoid your first form. "You're the same demon who swallowed me before!" you shouted. Whoops, it's back. Stay tuned for next week, the final part of the Miss Hashira. I'll see you all then.